Previously on Funny Science Fiction.
I think in one of them, I think you even you say to your mom, "Don't worry, I'm not going to blow myself up."
Yep.
This is Grodd, bringing you David Sobolov and the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
The podcast where space is not the final frontier, just an unfortunate key on your keyboard. So today we have a special guest host for you. Many of you might remember Andrew from our live show a few weeks back, but we have Andrew Morrison back with us from the VoiceOver Coffee Shop podcast. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going?
Excellent. But our guest of honor today is the amazing voice actor, David Sobolov. David, thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you guys at home playing the home version of Funny Science Fiction might recognize David's voice from his work as Drax in the animated version of Guardians of the Galaxy, Gorilla Grodd, and CW's The Flash, Blitzwing in 2018's Transformers movies, amongst a litany of other things. So you are right up our nerd alley. So this is a really cool chance for us to get to talk with you. So listing some of those things there, I got, of course, some of those things I knew, but some of those things I found on IMDb. And I have to say, you have an extensive and impressive list of work. Some of the things I was not familiar with that you were attached to. The one that impressed me the most, and this is just because I'm a ridiculously large Star Wars nerd, was the Vader Immortal game. And especially because I just got to play that a couple weeks ago, about a month or so ago when I was down in Virginia visiting some friends. And it's, first off, amazing game. But secondly, was this just a job for you, or are you a Star Wars nerd as well?
I'm more of a Star Trek nerd, to be honest, than Star Wars, but I love Star Wars. And that was my favorite Star Wars part. It was weird because, like, I play a lot of creepy parts. I play a lot of cold villains. He was sort of like ethereal. Yeah. Because you didn't really know if he was real or not. I don't want to give it away, but it let me do some really fun things with my voice and with the acting. And they were super nice too. The Star Wars people are always so nice. Yeah,
I like to think so. I hope they are. Yeah, because the Korvac story is actually pretty cool. It's that's a really cool role that you got to play. And I found out afterwards, I'm like, I get to talk to that guy. So anyway, that was kind of cool.
Isn't that a cool moment though, when you're like, I know that voice, and then I get to see that person? Yeah, that's like my favorite part about doing this. It's so much fun. So Tim actually shared an article into the Funny Science Fiction Facebook group about how Dave Bautista, the other Drax, thinks that Marvel dropped the ball on Drax's backstory in the movies, and that they didn't do him the justice that he deserved. So as a fellow Drax, do you agree with this article? Do you agree with his view?
Well, you have to understand, too, that when I play Drax in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy animated series, they call it a feel-alike performance, not even a sound-alike, and the world is also slightly different. We kind of touch on things that are in the movies, but we go off in different directions. So really, I think at my level, I just am happy to be there. I'm like, okay, you guys write whatever you want. I'm not going to complain about it. I mean, Dave is at a different level, and he can sort of get into the bigger picture, and he's the feature film Drax, and I'm sure he has very passionate feelings about this, and I do too. I want the work to be great, but I just kind of say, the writers and you guys out there are much more involved in the plots, to be honest, than I am. I'm involved in giving you a great performance, and I live in the world of the character, but I'm not too super worried about what they do with it. It's really up to them. It's so far beyond my pay grade.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Because I think that for me, I'm just happy to be working at the end of the day. And these people invite me into their homes, and they don't have to invite me in, but they do, and I'm lucky. Sitting at home, this is sort of for older people, but there was a show called Happy Days back in the 70s. And I'm sitting at home as a little kid watching this thing, and I'm seeing, the mom, Marion Ross. I'm like, oh, this is a great character. It's, fun watching this show. How could I have ever imagined that in Guardians of the Galaxy, she'd be standing right beside me playing a role of a villain?
Right.
For me, cool. that was sort of a big nerd moment, just to have people from my childhood standing beside me. Having a conversation one time with Tim Curry before we went in to do a session, and people like that. It's like, I get to meet this person. How lucky am I?
Right. No, that's
I
awesome.
was
How
very
would you even be
grateful.
able to talk when you get to meet Tim Curry? Oh my word!
Well, what you
I
have
would
to
be
do
a
when you meet
puddle.
a really big celebrity that you idolize or that you think is really amazing and you've seen all your life, you got to turn that off and just talk to them like we're talking. Because if you want to really connect with them, you can't really. Oh, so nice to meet you. Oh, that won't really get you anywhere in terms of getting an experience that you can take away.
That makes a lot of sense.
So fangirl in the back room, business like up front. Gotcha.
Well,
Okay.
you can fanboy. I'm sorry, I keep talking over you, Kathleen. It's the connection, nothing personal. You can fanboy inside, but it's great. You can get a lot more to take away, like I said, if you have a great conversation with them. And don't talk about show business. Just talk about the world.
Okay. Good advice.
And you're known for some very, very iconic roles, and a part of some very nostalgic franchises. But what do you feel like a role that you've gotten where you felt like you put a piece of yourself into that character, where you read that script and you're just, oh no, this is me. This is just me all the way.
Well, there was a show called Kaijudo that almost no one saw. It was on the Hub Network. That network only existed for 4 years. Only was in half the country, if that. And there was this part called Tatsuri and the Unchained. He was this great, big, angry monster, but not really, because he had a heart of gold kind of thing. That's kind of me. I mean, this great big guy. And I've walked into rooms before and people are worried about how I'm going to behave because they think I'm going to like tear up the furniture or something. But I'm pretty much a teddy bear, and he is too deep inside. And that was kind of fun. He had some emotion. He wasn't just angry. So that was nice. And I hope some people see that show. I thought it was really special. Kaijudo.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure my daughter finds it because she's in this huge anime kick right now. So I'm sure that will go a long way with her. So
I think she'd like it.
All right, cool. So one of the things I like to talk to creative people about, and now what I can consider people creative, whether they're drawing, whether they're writing, whether they're using their voice to create, because you do create with your voice. You make things come to life with your voice. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to find out what inspired them along the way and set them out on their quest. So with you, David, what was the inspiration for you as a young man, or when did the inspiration come for you to look into voice acting as this is what I want to do for my work?
Well, this was sort of the end of the road. The road continues, but the end of the road for that part of my life when I discovered it, when I went from being a musician to being an actor. I was a French horn player, and I used to play in small ensembles and pit orchestras, and I was also a singer, and I toured with an a cappella group. And those things, I was always looking for something. Okay, I want to work in the arts. I don't want to be a starving artist all my life. I want to actually be able to do this full time. And it kind of found me. The voice was out there. Whenever I speak, you hear this voice. And somebody heard me in a play and said, "Hey, come on, let's do villains." And I'm like, okay, I'd never thought of it. And I started doing it. I really liked it. And they seemed to keep wanting to bring me back. So it just sort of snowballed. And now it's been 25 years or more, almost 30.
Wow. That's cool. All right. So do you remember what play you were doing when they found you?
It was something I was doing at the University of British Columbia when I lived in Vancouver. It was a student thing. And
okay.
All I remember is that I had a pitcher of water thrown in my face. That was one of the things that happened as a character.
Oh, why?
He was actually really horrible to women, and a woman threw that in his face at a restaurant. And then for some reason there was some magic that happened, and he changed and became a nice guy.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just about to ask you, was the water thrown because you were a bad actor, or was the water thrown because it was part of the play?
That would have been tomatoes.
Oh, yes.
So I was listening to some of the other interviews that you've done, and there was one that I listened to this morning that you were talking about your enjoyment of things from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And that you had mentioned that you collect product packaging. Is that correct?
Yep, they're all around me. I'll grab a couple things here that I could reach. Here's a battery from the 1940s.
Oh, that's so cool.
Here is a piece of gum. Let me find the oldest one here. I'm losing my earpiece. Let's see. This is from... trying to find the old one. Well, this one's from the 1920s.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
It was the perfect gum. There was no other. apparently. This is from 1918. It's a little
that's
bit
cool.
different. And then they all fancy stuff on the back. Look at aids digestion. It's double strength. I don't know if I want to try the single strength one because why would you want that when you could have this?
Well,
And
yeah.
sweetens the breath. Yeah, stuff like that. I've got like 1940s Ritz cracker boxes full of Ritz crackers. That was buried in a barrel behind a cabin in Oregon, sealed in wax in case the Japanese attacked. They had food there. And when they leveled the cabin, they found this thing and they were selling this stuff on eBay. When I got it, it still smelled like cheese. It was perfectly preserved.
That is so cool. So do you have a favorite piece? I mean, you've got some pretty cool stuff.
Well, the best thing is behind me, this microphone from NBC in the 1940s. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
I've wanted one of those all my life. I just got that about 5 years ago.
That's really
awesome.
cool. Yeah, when in that interview, when you mentioned product packaging, I'm like, I was trying to figure out what you meant, and I was thinking Coke bottles, but spearmint gum is way cooler.
Well, there's all sorts of stuff. Let me just see what I have here. X-Lax. And I'm just going to reach to whatever I grab. Let's see. What's this? I got a whole bunch of stuff in front of me. What's this one? Oh, it's radio service.
Check that out.
Yeah, anyway, you don't want to see everything in my collection, but I enjoy it.
No,
that's
actually,
really
no,
cool.
it's really cool. In fact, when I was looking over our list of questions for today and I saw the product packaging thing, I'm like the wrapping that goes around. That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking like the wrapping that went around the packages, like, you know, when you see the outside boxes, not the actual individual. I'm like, that's a really unique collection. Okay, but you know,
true.
hey.
Do you know what these were used for?
Let's see.
Are those
Columbia
record
long.
needles?
That's a for a record player, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You have to change the needle every couple of records, sometimes even every record.
Yeah, and that was for the old 78s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. The old Victrolas and stuff. Yeah, that's neat, man. I really like your. I find it interesting when people collect different things. So for me, your collection is kind of cool. I like it.
Well, I started when I was 10. You know, I know. I'm so sorry, Kathleen. Your voice is really faint, and I think that's why I'm talking over you. Because sometimes I don't hear it. You're a little far away. Sorry about that. So my mom was a singer in the 40s. She was a swing singer, and she kind of inspired me to look at that era and be more interested in it. So I started collecting stuff when I was 10, and I never lost interest for some reason.
Well, that's cool. Well, it beats the pants off my Funko Pop collection. So
it really does. I love the number of voice actors that have musical influence behind the voice acting. That has been a big thing when we've been talking to voice actors, that either their parents were singers, their grandparents were, they were in band, whatever. I love that it all comes back to music, because music is the heart and soul for me. Like, that is fabulous that your mom was a singer. Like, that's just too cool.
Thanks. Well, it's if you think about it, there's a lot of musicality to these characters. There's tone, there's pitch, there's staccato, legato. You know, it could go, I'm going to talk like this, and it's got a musicality versus I'm going to talk like this. It's very different. But I play characters. I don't do voices. So you'll often recognize me in different parts. I'm not really even worried about that. I'm not trying to mask who I am. It's going to come out, but I kind of feel like I'm an on-camera actor the way I approach it. So, you know, it's just me playing a different reality. I studied with this guy named Sanford Meisner. He's a famous teacher a long time ago.
Meisner,
he was my teacher back in New York when I was a kid. And he would say, acting is living truthfully under given imaginary circumstances. And there's nothing more imaginary than animation or video games, or Grodd, you know, on the Flash, or Blitzwing in the Bumblebee movie. But it's a heightened reality. So you play it naturally as if they were there. I try to keep it in the moment, so I'm kind of living the character as he lives. And then, yeah, you add a voice print. That's what they call it, a voice print on top, just to sweeten it. But to me, that's the icing. You got to have the cake, or you're just eating a handful of sugar.
I like that. That's cool.
And voiceover, it requires, as a voiceover artist, I understand that it takes a lot of time with auditions and marketing, and this is a very demanding industry. What do you do outside of the booth to kind of recharge your batteries?
Well, play with my products, my old products. You know what I do too? I actually, this is literally because it's just fun. I sell on eBay, and I sometimes can, because I have so much stuff, I'll get tired of it. And I'm like, okay, let's sell this thing, and then you get great. It's very much like doing what we're doing right now. You get responses from people that love this stuff, and you hear more history about it, and it's fun. And then I can recycle things. Like I'll sell something and then buy something new that's old. But I'm getting into sort of like things that are more like, I like them to look like they came off the shelf. Like very little damage in some of the stuff I have now. I try to get the pristine stuff, and it's definitely pricey, so it makes sense to sell stuff so you can pay for it.
Nice.
And also I'll sometimes buy collections of things and just slowly sell them, and it literally is just for fun.
I identify with that because for years I was an eBay power seller, and that's what I did, and even recently I've been selling things on another website so that I could feed my own addiction. And that's how, a lot of these things behind me showed up. I would sell something at the house I didn't need or want anymore. And, when the money would come in to be sitting in my account, I'm like, I could transfer that to my bank account, or I could get 3 of these things over here that I've been looking for. And so I look at it as I'm trading with people. Okay, you're giving me this thing so I can get this thing. There's something I didn't want for the something I do want.
There's something that I'm trading out now, and actually, to be honest, the message on it bugged me because it's kind of like it's of another time. It's very much like women are in their place, which I don't agree with. Wise wives work wonders, because only a wife would be touching this product, right? It's not cool. So, I mean, this is from the 1870s.
Oh, wow.
And time for that to go away, I think. Somebody else could enjoy that. I don't like to see it. It was fun for a while, but you know what? That's not the message I want to be looking at.
I appreciate that.
All right. Well, cool. Other than selling on eBay, anything else you like to do to stretch your legs?
What do I do? Well, I'm very social with the people I care about. So I like to, now during the pandemic, it's starting to get a little better in Southern California. So it's so cool in the last week or so, now that I've been fully vaccinated, I'm meeting up with my other fully vaccinated friends so that we can see each other again. And that's been a lot of fun. It's kind of like going away on a long trip and coming back and seeing them. Yeah. And I used to be like really into the gym, I've got to get back into that again. A lot of us sort of got out of it while COVID was happening. So I'll probably get back into that too.
And that's pandemic bodies.
Yeah, I'm going to figure out a way to lose my pandemic 15 to 20, whatever. I'm afraid to step on the scale. I know it's more than what I'd like it to be. So, let's see. All right. So now inherently, David, some jobs are harder than others. Now, even if it's the same basic tasks and skills that we used on a previous job or a previous project. So for you as a voice actor, what was one project that was harder for you to do that maybe necessarily wasn't physically harder, but it just took more out of you to complete?
There was one, and it kind of goes along with that product I just showed you. There was this, I'm trying to remember the exact game. I think it was 50 Cent Bulletproof. And I had a character that was extremely white supremacist, and this really bothered me. We agreed we wouldn't get into politics or anything, and I won't get too deep into that.
Sure.
But just when I'm portraying a character that's really ugly, inside, that's hard for me. I can do it, and I think I do it well, but I have to sit for a little while afterwards and just shake him off me. So that was a tough one. And then physically, sometimes I've learned to speak up a little bit more about the screaming in the video games, because a casting director told me that there's only one person in Hollywood that can scream more than an hour and still sound like their character, and it's Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, because his voice is ruined anyway. You can hear it.
Yeah, he was
very raspy
to begin with.
But I try to limit it to 2 hours of screaming. I used to do roles where it was 4 hours of screaming. And I did this one fairly famous role. It's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Lieutenant Vasquez.
Oh,
and, yeah. And that was 4 hours of screaming every few days for a couple of weeks. And I lost my voice for 6 months, and I thought my career was over.
Oh, my word.
And I learned that was a big milestone for me, just to learn, okay, I'm human. I need to just remember that I'm human and speak up. and 2 hours is enough.
Is there anything you do to kind of extend that stamina, just out of curiosity?
No, I mean, at a certain point, think about Blitzwing. If you guys know that role in the Bumblebee movie, and the screaming that I did in that, I was actually feeling faint after every take because I was screaming so loudly. I've heard instances where, and this is not like poor me, I'm just telling you physically what happens. I've seen some actors that really do pass out. There's a famous story from Fred Tatasciore when he was playing the Hulk. He actually passed out, fell on the music stand, and was out. And then he got up and got to the couch, sort of staggered over the couch. And they used the take because the sound of him kind of vocalizing as he passed out was apparently very cool.
Interesting.
But you don't want to go there. You don't want that to happen to you. And
right.
Because when I play a character like Blitzwing, it's going to be on an IMAX screen. How big is that thing?
Right.
200 feet across or something? Well, 70 feet across or something. The performance has to be bigger than life. But there's only so far you can go where it goes beyond what's human. And you got to try to remember that. So, that was the last role that I played where I really just felt, you know what, we're only doing a few lines here. Let's really go for it. And the director, Travis Knight, is such a fan of Transformers and such a nice guy. And to work with him directly was great. Usually when you do a movie, you work with post-production supervisor. You don't usually get to work with the actual director of the movie. I got the same experience on Alita Battle Angel with Mr. Rodriguez. And it's nice as people. It's amazing when you meet these tippy-top directors, how they're actually really, really down to earth sometimes. Because we get the same goal there. We just want to do a great performance, make the film better. There's no weird ego or the stuff you would see portrayed on TV as being Hollywood. Because at the end of the day, we're going to work. And we want to produce a great product for everybody. So, Travis, we did that first line, "Did you think you could hide?" If I did it right now in my home, someone would call the police. And they always say that a sound booth is a great place to murder someone because you scream like crazy and people go, "Oh, they're just doing a part. They're just doing a part." And then they could just dispose of the body later in the evening or something. So he was "Did you think you could hide?" was one session.
Okay.
That was one session and it took about an hour, and we did it maybe 20 times. But I was definitely feeling faint during that. And I don't think it was a medical issue. It was just that I knew that this was the opening line for this character. And initially, it was the opening line of the film. The other scenes they put in later, they were actually going to start right for the credits, boom, right into the forest. And I felt a responsibility with that. And you just have to learn to be human. Anyway, enough about that. On and on about that.
No, I was enjoying the story, so you could have kept talking. I was enjoying it. So, and I am a little bit troubled with how quickly Andrew agreed that you could kill somebody in a sound booth. He's like over there shaking his head.
I mean, we sit in padded booths all day, just repeating words over and over. I mean, we would be the people to do it.
I'm saying if somebody heard it from the outside, they'd think nothing of it. But if they heard it from my home, they'd be calling the police.
Right.
If somebody's screaming, "Did you think you could hide?" Like, "Oh no, there's a murder going on. Call the police."
Right.
You're in the studio and it's totally normal.
We got to be cautious of some of these scripts.
All right. Well, hey, David, we're at the point in our show where what we like to do is play a little quiz with our guests. So we're hoping that you will be game for this.
I don't know how well I'll do, but go for it.
All right. So here's the lay of the land for the quiz. Okay, it's a 5-question quiz. They're all multiple choice.
Oh well, that makes it easier.
So we're hoping to make it a little bit easier for you. Now, if you get 3 of the questions correct, we'd like to send you this mug. It says, "I gave to the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund."
Okay.
Okay, that's that's part of our show.
Is it actual charity?
Actually, yes. It ties into the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation.
Well, you don't send me stuff. I send you stuff for charity. So just if I win, I send you something that you sell and you get money for charity. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you something anyway, and you send me something.
Okay, we can exchange. We'll
trade. And then if you get 4 questions correct, we want to send you this book, which is Custodians of the Cosmos, which is written by our group founder, Drayton Allen.
Awesome.
And so what this is, with you being a Trek guy, you'll probably like this a lot. It's written about someone who wanted to join Star Trek, the Federation, washed out of the academy, and instead he decided to join as a custodian so he could boldly clean up after those who boldly just went.
He boldly cleaned where those.
Yeah.
What's the thing? Boldly go where no one has gone before. Boldly clean where someone has gone before.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
That is pretty much the premise of the book.
That's pretty much the premise of the book right there. So, and if you get the 4 correct, we'll send you the mug and the book, and I'll make sure that Drayton autographs it for you. Okay.
Oh, okay, sounds great.
All right. So now, however, there has to be a fun sequence. We call it a fun sequence because consequence sounds bad. So if you only get 2 questions correct, we'd like to take a picture of you and make a meme out of you and put it into our funny science fiction group, which has over 125,000 members right now.
Okay, I'll find an appropriate product package for that meme.
There you go. All right. All right. So we're good to go. Kathleen, kick it off.
All right. Question number 1. Why is Drax angry?
Mm-hmm.
A. Thanos killed his family. B. Ronan killed his family. Or C. Groot killed his family.
Oh boy, I always forget this. I think Ronan killed his family. Thanos, or in our timeline, I think Thanos ordered Ronan to kill his family. It might be different in Guardians of the Galaxy movie because
Tim
Thanos
has
did it there.
asterisks on both of those. I think both are acceptable answers.
They are both. It was kind of a trick question. Both are acceptable answers. So in the comic book lore, Thanos killed his family. In the movie series, Thanos ordered Ronan to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's what we did too. So I'm right. That's
You
yes.
are right. It just wasn't Groot.
Yeah, long and short.
Or am I asterisks or am I right?
That's right. Long and short, you're correct.
All right, question number 2. What initially gave Gorilla Grodd his powers in the Flash TV show?
On the TV show.
A.
Mm-hmm.
Exposed to gamma rays. B. Drank a poison or a potion. Or C. Energy from the particle accelerator.
Boy, it's probably C, particle accelerator. But I mean, it was a force that came over everybody. So was it gamma rays or the particle accelerator? I just know that the thing happened and everybody got their powers. But what was the thing?
It was the particle accelerator.
Yeah, well, okay. Do I get that right?
You get that right. All right. So if you get another one right, you're past the fun sequence and you get the cup.
The fun sequence. Okay.
All right. Question 3. Team Flash sent Grodd to what place? A. Gorilla City. B. The Central Park Zoo. Or C. Central City.
Gorilla City.
Correct. You are safe from being memed.
And you get a mug. Even better.
All right, question number 4. In comic book lore, Drax was at one time A. a renowned actor, a renowned chef, B. a medieval actor, or C. a factory worker.
Wow, that's not what we did in our show. Can I hear the answers again?
A. a renowned chef, B. a medieval actor, or C. a factory worker.
Well, in our show, he was a wrestler. So
that's one of the timelines, yes.
Yeah, but that's not the one you're talking about.
This is comic book lore.
Yeah, we'll say medieval actor. But I think he wasn't really that old, so I'm probably wrong with that.
You are correct.
I'm correct?
Yes.
Okay.
1602 series.
Yeah, it's the 1602 series. It's the medieval series that they did about the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's an offshoot series.
If you think about it, tangentially, it kind of aligns with being a wrestler because it's an active thing, a performance thing.
That makes sense.
And most importantly, you get the book now.
Yay!
All right. So question 5 is we like to say it's just for funsies when you went 4 for 4.
All right. Question 5. This character helped turn Mustafar into a hellish wasteland of lava. A. Lady Korvax. B. Why do you do this to me, Tim?
Asajj Ventress.
Asajj Ventress. Or C. Padme Amidala.
So let me hear again. One more time, please.
A. Lady Korvax. B. Asajj Ventress. Or C. Padme Amidala.
Well, that particular role was so ethereal. I was so into the just sort of feeling of the character that I wasn't paying as much attention to the plot as I should have. But I'll say A.
You are correct.
Yay!
Jolly good. 5 for 5, sir. 5 for 5. Well done.
We need to make the quizzes harder for the guests and easier for Kathleen to pronounce.
Do you usually have the quizzes about the shows that the guest has been in?
We try to make it a little bit easier for our guests. Yes.
Well, that's actually harder for a lot of people. It's usually harder for me. It was a fairly easy version of that quiz. You could have easily stumped me.
I was kind of hoping to with question 4. I felt like you guessed on that one about the Drax being the medieval actor, and I was kind of hoping to stump you on question 2 about Grodd, but you got it anyway.
Yeah, I think plot wise, anything that Grodd did, I was pretty familiar with. Definitely deeply immersed in that one.
Well, dang it, close enough, but 5 for 5 anyway.
All right.
Well, thank you. Awesome.
So thank you for being on the show with us. Where can people find more about you and your previous work and what you're doing now?
Okay. You can find me in social media. My last name backwards @Voloboss in most social media. I have a website, sobolov.com, and if you want to check out any sort of autograph situations there, it's sobolov.com/shop. You can order any of my characters signed directly from there. The new thing that I'm doing is Malphite in Legends of Runeterra. That was just released about a week ago in the game Legends of Runeterra. And, of course, Drax is still on Disney Plus in Guardians of the Galaxy, and other things coming up that are NDA. You must have so many people on here that can't talk about stuff, but yeah, that's what we all have to do.
Fair enough.
But even mentioning that there are things that you can't talk about is still exciting.
For me, I don't know about for you.
Well, it's still exciting for us because then it's wait, is that him or isn't it? He couldn't tell us, but now we think it's him.
Oh, you know what? I can hint at one thing. I spent the pandemic creating an animated series, and it's just about ready to try to show to networks and to studios, and hopefully we can get that on the air. So there'll be more about that coming up.
Awesome.
Perfect. Excellent. We like hints.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Tim and Kathleen are going to get all those episodes in the episode descriptions so that people can find you in all of your other works.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We want to remind everybody just real quick that subscribing is the single most important thing that you can do to help us get more amazing guests like David here and guest hosts like Andrew to come on and spend their time with us and chat and have funny moments for you to listen to. So please take your time, go subscribe to the VoiceOver Coffee Shop, listen to Andrew over there and his great guests, and check out David's work as well. And if you're not happy with the content of today's video, all you have to do is submit in duplicate form, of course, to Drax the Destroyer. He's the head of our complaint department. Now, it may not feel like he's taking your complaint very seriously, but he is. It's just that he's working on mastering the ability of standing so incredibly still that it's invisible to the naked eye. It's so slow, it's imperceptible.
Thanks again, David. This was fantastic.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you, Andrew, for joining us as well. And David, thank you for your time.
Oh, great to be here. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching.
In the podcast description.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySciFi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Copyright 2020 by Drayton Allen. Original music by Jordan Michaels. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned in this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation of or by Funny Science Fiction or its sponsors. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at DraytonAllen@DraytonAllen.com.